Boris Becker was born in Lyman, Germany in November 1967.
I was born and raised on clay, Germany. And because of the winter, we played on carpet indoors. So I started winning on clay actually in the juniors. Everything under 16. I was in the Orange Bowl final. Didn't win it, but I was very good on clay, and I felt like I played the way I wanted to play in order to win. It's just my first success came on the grass. I really don't know until now why it was on grass. Obviously, the power and the serve, but. So when I played on clay afterwards, I thought I was playing the best possible clay court tennis. It just wasn't a success because you were better on clay, and you were better on clay, and maybe a couple more guys were better on clay because of your natural style really suited against me on clay. I changed my service motion. I changed my attitude, how I wanted to play on grass, and I think that made a difference.
The man who sort of came out of nowhere was Boris Becker. Now, when I first met Becker, he was 15 years of age. I saw him in Paris and watched him play. He hit 6 in and 98 out. The following year, at 16, he was hitting about, say, 20 in and sort of 88 out. Suddenly at Wimbledon, he was unseeded, and nobody worried about Becker. They knew he was in or out, and if they caught him on an in day, he would win. If they caught him on an out day, then they would win. And then nobody bothered about him, how to play him. You might say you play Joe Blow on Monday, and you play Charlie Smith on Tuesday, and then you play Boris Becker on Wednesday, then you meet Lendl. End of tournament. When we talk about Boris Becker, I think we're talking power personified. He's about 6'3", big serve, a lot of power, and the ball kind of rolls at you rather than kicks at you. And when he lets fly with those ground shots, there's a tremendous amount of power. And he has probably got, I would say, a couple of inches more power or more speed through the air and off the ground than most of the other players around.
I think I played him when I was about 16, actually, 15 or 16, and I think we played in New York in one of the, I think maybe it was in the Rolex tournament, and that was the first time we met, and then we played a few times as junior. Funny enough, the year that I won junior Wimbledon, I played him at first round and beat him. Both of us were good as juniors. We sort of came out at the same time, but I think it wasn't until 1985 when a lot of things started happening.
Frank Sedgman, at his very best, never did anything better than that.
After winning his first Grand Slam title aged 17 at Wimbledon 1985 against Kevin Curran, Becker retained the title the following year, beating Ivan Lendl in the final. Becker won Wimbledon in 1989, beating Stefan Edberg in the final. He then won the US Open over Lendl.
And another big serve.
The first couple of years it was difficult for me to feel comfortable here, to understand the New York state of mind, understand the fascination of the night matches, the fascination of supporting for an underdog. Ever since 17 I was never the underdog, so why don't you respect my performances and like the other guy that's not as good as me? So it took me a while for me to feel comfortable in New York.
Becker won the 1991 Australian Open over Lendl. In the 1996 Australian Open, Becker was 2 sets and break points down against Thomas Johansson in the second round.
Closely indeed. It looked out. Wide of the sideline.
Becker went on to win the tournament, beating Michael Chang in the final. After retiring in 1999, Becker's personal life often hit the headlines, most notably when he was jailed for several months in 2022 for hiding assets from a bankruptcy.
Boris Becker. Well, I watched tape after tape of him and stood across the net from him 3 different times, and I started to realize he had this weird tick with his tongue. I'm not kidding. He would go into his rocking motion, his same routine, and just as he was about to toss the ball, he would stick his tongue out, and it would either be right in the middle of his lip or it would be to the left corner of his lip. So if he's serving in the deuce court and he put his tongue in the middle of his lip, he was either serving up the middle or to the body. But if you put it to the side, he was going to serve out wide. The hardest part wasn't returning a serve. The hardest part was not letting him know that I knew this. So I had to resist the temptation of reading his serve for the majority of the match and choose the moments when I was going to use that information.
People actually understand what a player like me go through in matches, or then in daily lives. Because I'm so famous, I can't really go anywhere. Just as a private Mr. Boris Becker, everybody follows each step, and so it's very hard for many people to understand some of the things I do or I say. There was a strong burden on my shoulders, and for at times I couldn't carry it. I didn't want to carry it. All of a sudden I was that hero which I didn't want to be. I just wanted to be a tennis player and do things 17 or 18-year-old guy wants to do, but people all of a sudden expected me to talk about the German history and the politicians and all those kind of things, and I didn't have a clue what to say really. But there were times, especially in my teenager years, where I thought this can't go on forever. This burden. There has to be a way where I could live a more of a normal life.
Boris was married to Barbara Feltus and Lily Kurzenberg. He also coached Novak Djokovic for several years and was a TV commentator. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.